This is Don Lemon, the former CNN anchor turned independent journalist. 12 days after live streaming a protest at City's Church in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Don Lemon was arrested for his alleged participation. Here's Don Lemon's attorney, Abby Lowell.
So he lives in New York. It's not Minneapolis. He's going to Los Angeles to do his job, which is to cover, in this case, the Grammys this weekend. They wait until he's in Los Angeles. That's not enough. They waited until 11:30 at night when he was coming back for doing what he does in the lobby of a hotel.
Gee, why didn't they arrest him when it was more convenient for Don Lemon? Damn you, Donald Trump!
It's bad enough that magistrate judges turned you down when you tried to file charges against them earlier. It's bad enough that you tried to appeal it and you got turned down again, and you had to go for a third try, and Lord knows what you did to conjure up the charges to justify you arresting this man in Beverly Hills while he was working the Grammys, by the way.
Oh no! Not Don Lemon's Grammy coverage! Whatever will we do without it? But don't worry, after Lemon's arrest, he was invited to the Grammys as a guest, along with his white husband. As far as the protest case goes, a grand jury ultimately found that there was enough cause to arrest Lemon. And of course, the method of that arrest was criticized.
And not one, not two, not three, but the bevy of agents surround and take him away. Don thought he was being mugged because he has been controversial, and he actually thought some crazy people on the right might be stalking him.
He thought he was being mugged? By a bevy of agents with FBI written in giant yellow letters under windbreakers? Yeah, sure. And of course, Don Lemon finds a way to cast himself as the victim of a right-wing conspiracy, all while being handcuffed for his own documented actions. Anyway, Don Lemon was quickly released without bail and held a press conference.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I'd been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do.
Notice the whole middle of the night framing. It was 11:30 p.m. in Los Angeles during Grammy week. That's basically happy hour for media elites. And Lemon's "I'm a martyr for democracy" speech was high on drama and low on truth and facts, perfectly tailored for an MS Now highlight reel, just like the following clip of journalist Georgia Fort, who was also arrested for her participation in the storming of the church.
Well, this is really scary. There's kids in the house. You guys have not been really friendly in the community. And to me, this seems a little, can I finish, sir? Can I finish? Can I finish?
Get your phone.
This seems a little bit aggressive to have all these cars in our cul-de-sac, 2, 3 agents, and now I saw the one disappear to the back. So to me, this is a little aggressive to just serve a warrant.
Watching, I would say that is more than a little aggressive myself. She has kids in the house. They're serving a warrant. Why does that need to happen? Why is that how it's being done? It's terrifying. Of course it is.
You can't serve an arrest warrant when kids are in the house. What did Jen Psaki expect, a singing telegram?
I leave this federal courthouse today with one question. Do we have a constitution?
Or not?
Do we have a constitution? That is the pressing question that should be on the front of everyone's mind.
So the journalist who trampled on the constitutional rights of churchgoers asks ironically, do we have a constitution? F***ing clown world. So Don Lemon, Georgia Fort, and the rest of the protesters were charged with 1 count of conspiracy against right of religious freedom at a place of worship, and 1 count of injuring, intimidating, and interfering with exercise of right of religious freedom at place of worship.
On what basis does this administration conclude that these two were participants and not journalists? There's no law, there's no set definition. Each says they were reporting. Each has a history and pattern of reporting. Both have reported and announced themselves as such consistently before, during, and after the church event.
Well, for starters, Chris Cuomo, the indictment makes the case that Lemon and Fort crossed the line between journalist and participant. Overt act number 6. During a discussion with defendant Nekima Levy-Armstrong at the pre-op briefing, defendant Lemon thanked defendant Armstrong for what she was doing and assured her that he was not saying what's going on, i.e. was not disclosing the target of the operation.
Okay.
How are you?
Good.
To see you. We're on. We're not saying what it is, what's going on, but thank you.
Defendant Armstrong explained that Operation Pull-Up was a clandestine operation in which she and other agitators would show up somewhere that is a key location where the targets don't expect us, and we disrupt business as usual. That's what we're about to go do right now.
This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there, and then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now.
And defendant Lemon said he would see her there.
How long do you think before this operation before it takes place?
We got to go now and get there.
Let's go.
All right, thank you.
We'll see you there.
Overt act number 7. Before heading to the church to join his co-conspirators, defendant Lemon advised his live stream audience that we're going to head to the operation. Again, we're not going to give any information away, i.e. operational details that would disclose where he and his co-conspirators were heading.
So we're going to go to the operation again. We're not going to give any of the information away.
Now, to a normal person, that sounds like a co-conspirator. But to the activist media, that's just standard operating procedure. In fact, CNN's Dana Bash actually tried to compare Don Lemon helping a group of agitators sneak into a church to a military journalist embedding with the troops. I'm not kidding.
There are countless examples of when reporters are embedded with people, with DOD, where we are told not to tell anybody where we're going. There are numerous examples of when we get embargoed information that we can't report from your agency, for example, and that has happened with presidents in both parties, and we withhold reporting it until you say it's time to report it. That's not unusual, and it's not unlike what happened with Don Lemon and Georgia Fort.
Oh, Dana. There's a massive legal and ethical canyon between a military embargo and what Don Lemon was doing. When a reporter embeds with the military, they are keeping secrets to protect the lives of soldiers from enemy fire. What Don Lemon was doing was keeping secrets to protect his fellow agitators. Overt act number 5. Lemon took steps to maintain operational secrecy by reminding certain co-conspirators to not disclose the target of the operation.
Without giving away what the operation is. Why are you out here? Thank you. You're on right now, just so you know. But so don't give anything away. No.
Lemon stepped away momentarily so his mic would not accidentally divulge certain portions of the planning session.
I turned our camera off of them because they're giving some critical information here.
So basically, the government is accusing Don Lemon of conspiring with the protesters. He knew the details ahead of time, and he kept them a secret.
We can't say too much. But we don't want to give it up.
If you're a journalist, your job is to report the who, what, where, and when. But Don was treating it like a surprise party for his husband. If you're actively concealing the location of a crime to ensure that it succeeds, you're not a reporter, you're a lookout.
So on Saturday, I posted a flyer about this action with no details other than show up at the Cub Foods parking lot if you want to participate. So Saturday night, I got a call from Don asking about this protest. And I said, listen, I can't reveal any information about this protest. He said he would be heading into town on Sunday. And I'm like, I have to treat you like everyone else. I cannot reveal any information about it because I don't want it to leak.
So Nekima Levy-Armstrong, the lead organizer of the protest, claims that she posted this flyer on Instagram, and Don Lemon just happened to see it and was like, give me the details, Nekima. And Nekima was like, Nope, can't tell ya. And he was like, I'll be on the next flight to Minneapolis and I'll see you there. Yep, makes sense to me. What's your problem?
He didn't even know we were going to a church. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Okay.
I gave people an address
that's
and said,
the
meet
answer.
us here. And I am not going to tell you where we're going. You just have to meet us at this address. And when we get there, you'll know what the situation is.
So Nekima is claiming that Don Lemon and the others were some sort of blind followers. But that doesn't hold up to scrutiny, because the moment they were provided that address and punched it into their smartphones, they'd know the location was a church. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if they knew details about it days in advance or 5 minutes prior, because after finding out that the target was a church, they still walked in to disrupt a religious service.
That's the bottom line.
Okay.
I knew the church. I knew the name. I knew about David Easterwood, the ICE director, also serving as a pastor there. But he had no idea.
Okay.
Okay. That's it? That's your follow-up, Chris? Instead of any pushback, Chris Cuomo just nods along like he's listening to a weather report.
He had no idea what we were going to do. I am a very tight-lipped person when it comes to my organizing. So no one, not a single person other than my co-organizers, had any idea where we were going, what we were going to do. They didn't even know what was going to happen once we got inside the location. I waited for God.
She waited for God. Well, apparently God's plan involved violating federal law and disrupting a worship service. Funny how divine intervention always seems to align perfectly with whatever the radical left feels like doing. Or maybe she's going for an insanity defense, I don't know.
I don't like what happened at or inside that Minnesota church. I don't like the arrest of 2 journalists. I think it only makes the situation worse.
Worse for who? Cuomo's trying to frame this as a PR blunder by the DOJ, when in reality, it's a rare moment of the government actually enforcing the law equally.
We do know that the government is claiming that Don attended a pre-operational briefing before they entered the church.
Claiming? He's literally on tape attending that briefing.
Does that make him part of it?
Yes.
They say he tried to keep details about the protest secret on his live stream. I've seen the clip. It indicates that. That's a bad fact for him. It shows potential bias, bad judgment.
It's not just bad judgment. If a reporter embeds with a crime organization and live streams the bank robbery and tells their audience, I'm not going to tell you which bank because we don't want to give up the operation, you're not winning a Peabody. You're probably going to prison. It's called being an accessory.
Would I have made the same choices that were made by Don at the church? No. I think there's a reason there was not more media inside, though they may have been outside. I think there's a reason this is the first time we've ever seen anything like this. I don't think I've ever worked anywhere that would have been okay with me going inside with people that I suspected intended to do something illegal.
And there it is. Even Chris Fredo Cuomo, the man who once coached his brother on how to dodge harassment scandals, admits that no legitimate news organization would touch this. When you're too unethical for Chris Cuomo, you haven't just crossed the line, you've left the atmosphere.
But in either instance, it would still make me a journalist. It would probably make me a fired journalist if I did something that offended standard and practice at every place I've ever worked. Not agreeing with a journalist's choices, however, does not justify taking their freedom to report.
Wait, did you catch that? Cuomo admits that what Don Lemon did would get a reporter fired by any legitimate news organization for violating basic standards. But then he leaps to the conclusion that the government is trying to take away his freedom to report. No one arrested Don Lemon for his choices as a journalist. They arrested him for his actions as a participant. He could face up to 11 years in prison for his crimes, but we all know that Don Lemon will never be convicted because no one is above the law or something. Anyway, that's it for now. Head on over to my super cool merch store at don'twalkrun.shop. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I hope to see you next time. If there is next time.